Here's a question most people never think to ask. What does a county political party actually do? Today I'm sitting down with Nina Blackwelder, the brand new chairwoman of the Coweta County GOP. And look, before you tune out because of politics, hear me out. We're going to get into what the party actually does, why it exists in the first place, and why Nina believes that local politics matter more than anything happening in Washington. Plus, you're going to get her take on what success really looks like for this community. Spoiler alert, it's not just about winning elections. This episode is brought to you by the Legacy Media Group. You shouldn't have to be the best kept secret in your market. And with us, you won't be. You'll become the obvious choice. And with our video marketing, social media management, and brand strategy packages, you'll finally have the visibility your business deserves. And with that, let's get into my wonderful conversation with Nina. Politic lesson number 1, 101. Allies today, enemies tomorrow.
That's right. That's right. And not every ally is a confidant. People get allies and confidants mixed up all the time. Just because we're aligned on this issue doesn't mean I should be telling you all my deep, dark secrets. Like, you just shouldn't. And that applies to anything.
Yeah.
And that's how that sense of betrayal comes in there, right? We're allied, and also now I'm treating you like a confidant, and if you do something that's not aligned the way I perceive should not be done, now you've betrayed me. And that's where all these big feelings of betrayal over things that are really inconsequential. Somebody supporting someone different than you is not a betrayal.
Right.
But it's murky. There's a lot of betrayal. There's a lot of illusion of betrayal happening, and it's not. And I mean, that's in politics everywhere.
Well, it is, and that's topical for our current time with Marjorie.
Yeah. So how?
Let's define betrayal, right? There's that, it might be betrayal in one person's eyes, but not the other.
Betrayal is deeply personal.
It is.
Right? What makes me feel betrayed, and also situational. When I don't feel betrayed when the person in the Waffle House lies to me, but if my spouse did it to me, it would be a betrayal, right? Even if the topic is something that's not life or death.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very situational, it's very personal, and it's very emotional. Right? These are things that we have to self-define.
So as a leader, how do you not only define the two, but also like compartmentalize the two?
So the real answer is, so we'd like to think, right? We like to all think ourselves elevated, that we can have discernment in those situations and that you have clarity, but that's not really true because it's such a emotionally intense experience, a sense of betrayal. As a leader, I think you have to pause and pause some more. And it's okay to be angry or to feel like there's been a betrayal, but you have to reel it in and recognize that your goals are likely not to be someone else's, and no one agrees with anybody else 100% of the time. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you don't agree with yourself, you know? Nina's decision from 4 years ago may not be my decisions today.
Right.
And it's hard. It is hard, and it's a skill, and you have to practice, and I think everyone falls short. But that betrayal thing, we have to fight that. It's right there with like jealousy or envy. Like you have to identify it, name it, and then move away from it.
And I would think you got to almost expect it.
Yes, you have to expect that people's motivations are different than yours, and that motivations can shift. And it's probably not personal. They were doing what they thought was in their best interest, or what their interest lies, and often has nothing to do with you at all.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with you. Maybe that's the takeaway. It is likely not to spite you. It's likely they're operating in their interest.
Mm-hmm.
That probably makes it easier.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't do it because they hate you. They did it because they were interested in this thing for themselves.
Right.
I don't know. Is that a good answer?
Yeah.
It's honest.
It is. I mean,
honest.
That's just me learning. Like, we may use this or not, but I'm obsessed with talking about leadership.
Leadership is my jam too.
I love it. And that's, anything with leadership and principles and like this, I love it, and that's why I like going down that road. I was like, yeah, let's push on that a little bit because you're in a unique position. You walked into a unique position, but it's also like you're in one, and having to navigate that from a leadership standpoint, a politics standpoint, and a relational standpoint. I mean, all that's
It's a lot. It's a lot of straws stirring the drink.
it is.
As part of my professional life, we're required to get leadership coaching and career coaching. You must go every month and speak to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, what is your adaptive challenge? And I told them about the Republican Party in this confidential session. And the way it works is the coach can bring in another coach. And these are advanced practitioners of leadership. So now there's 3 of them on the call. And I'm telling them my sad story about how I became chairman and how I thought it was only one thing and now it's not. And they couldn't believe it. They're like, why did you agree to this? You should run away. Like, why are you, like, you know better. Like, why? You should figure out how to get out of there as quickly as possible, with your reputation intact and kind of go from there. And it was interesting to see my colleagues say that from a genuine third-party perspective.
Yeah.
They are zero invested, not in the state. Some of them aren't even in this country. And they're like, we can't believe you would do that. But they're also cheering for me.
Yeah.
And that is kind of amazing, too, because some of them are not ideologically aligned with me, my personal politics, and they're still like, it's going to be okay. Don't let those mean Republicans get you down. And I was like, that's my tribe, like those are my people. But, we're pulling for you. So I do enjoy that. And it's interesting that I have the benefit of being in a space where all we do is talk about leadership, technical leadership, adaptive leadership skills, absolute candor, clear as kind, and trying to apply those very technical and advanced skills to how do I manage the party? And this, to me, is even an additional layer because it is grassroots activism. You can't fire anybody. You can't fire volunteers. So you're forced to work with people that are coming from a different experience, have a different, within shades of red, a different ideological position. And how do you make it go? How do you make the engine run? And that is so interesting to me.
I would think, too, that, like you said, clear is kind. And my wife learned that with her job because she's in a leadership position with her corporate job. And she brought that home. Mm-hmm. And I love that. And I would think that, yes, volunteers, like, you can't fire anybody. They all seem to want the same goal. Different ways to get there, mm-hmm. but the same goal. So I think from your position, it would be more of mission aligned.
Yeah, so you're hitting...
And being clear on the mission. And being clear on the mission and the vision of the organization. And uniting around that more than anything. So
I'm glad you touched on that because I think you talk about 80% alignment. And I think that's actually most of the community. If you went on the street and you asked someone today in Newnan, like, what are the things you're concerned with? And then asked 4 other people, you would get a pretty close overlapping list. Mm-hmm. So people want the same thing, right? Safe communities. They want to have opportunity. They want to feel like they are valued in their community. Like, these are pretty basic. Kids go to safe schools, no potholes. That's what people want. Same thing in the Republican Party.
Or data centers.
Or data centers. Oh, the data centers.
Let's pull at that thread.
Yeah, we'll have, oh my goodness, the data centers.
That's a whole third part.
Yes, and I can tell you some tea about who said what on it. So, and the Republican Party is the same thing. And my vision for the party is let's get back to the basics. Mm-hmm. Let's have a presence in the community. That means, let's adopt a street. Let's have a parade float. Let people know that we're here. We're open for business. We want to interface. We want to be part of this community. Second part, elections. We have to win. And what does that look like? It doesn't show up just the day of pressing buttons. We have to build a bench of candidates, promote those candidates, and get them ready to be who they need to be on election day. Mm-hmm. Voter education. We're responsible for voter education. It's not enough to tell someone to vote for X, Y, or Z policy or for XYZ candidate. They need to know why. They need to be informed electorate.
Agreed.
And that is a huge piece that we hadn't been addressing previously, and that is so important to me. Coweta County has a number of municipalities, and we should be engaging with all of them. We should need to know what's happening in Chattahoochee Hills. We should need to know what's happening in Noonan, Sonoy, Grantville, city of Sharpsburg. These are things. Palmetto, half of Palmetto sits in Coweta County, and have a presence and have relationships with the people that are managing those municipalities.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Republican community, and it needs to be reflected in our relationships.
I agree. And I think that bringing that education, the voter education, is especially important in elections where there's no presidential.
That's right.
Or state senate or governor, because you might have what happened this past November. Even though Coweta did carry red, the Republicans still lost the statewide election.
That's right. Well, plenty of people don't know.
Because people don't show up.
And they don't know. I mean, what does your public service commissioner do? Why are there so many? Why do they live in one part of the state but are running down here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of things going on, and people just didn't know. Public service minister was established in Georgia to monitor trains. They were with the railroad authority.
Yeah. And why should they care?
Why should they care?
I mean, at the end of the day, I think that it all boils down to that. Like, why should I care about what the party does,
Mm-hmm.
what the county party does, or why somebody's running for this office down here?
Mm-hmm.
And how does that affect me in my day-to-day life? Because I have no interest in politics. I don't care.
Well, I think every person in Coweta should be concerned with the happenings of the Republican Party, because this is a Republican county. So even if you're third party or you're democratically aligned, you should still care what's happening with the Republican Party. And that's really the bottom line. Now, I'm not saying those people should be participating. I don't want to tent that big. But this affects everyone and everyone's day-to-day because Republican candidates pass through.
Mm-hmm.
And the Republican Party, the Coweta Republican Party, is the number one place in the county to hear from statewide candidates.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to know about who's running for lieutenant governor, you want to hear a Secretary of State candidate speak, they are coming to the county Republican Party. You can meet them, talk to them, ask them questions, find out how to volunteer in their campaign, but that resource and that access is available. That's actually how I got involved in the party. I went to Fayette Republican Party meeting, and they had lieutenant governor candidates. This is a number of years ago. This is like pre-Jeff Duncan. And I thought this was so cool because there they were, two men running for lieutenant governor, and we're like in the same room. And you could chit-chat with them, ask them questions. And to me, that was meaningful. So I had come from the Ron Paul world, and I'm still definitely a Liberty Republican. But when I got to Georgia, I thought, gee whiz, how am I going to spend my time? And I saw an advert on Facebook for Fayette GOP. And when I was there, they said, hey, you live in Coweta. You should be going to the Coweta GOP meetings. And 2016, that's how I became involved with the Coweta Republican Party.
Okay.
And here we are.
And here we are.
I wandered into a meeting to hear what they said. I actually took a selfie with one of the candidates, and it looks like it was taken on a microwave, because it was still, cell phone cameras weren't quite what they are today.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, so I came to conservative politics by way of Ron Paul.
Okay.
Ron Paul wanted to end the Fed, and that was the coolest thing I had ever heard as a young adult, that this old man from Texas was talking about liberty and owning yourself and government's role and what that scope should be. And there he was, and he was so cool, and I wanted to be involved in every possible way in that message and that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that has guided my ideological position. And they talk about not meeting your heroes. Well, I did, and it was amazing. It was like awesome. The coolest thing ever. In 2019, I'm in Memphis, and he's at this Young Americans conference. And there had to be like 400 people there. And he waited in line and shook hands with every single person and heard their story. And he was there for hours, just like a wedding receiving line. It was just the most amazing thing ever. And that if he's your hero, you should definitely meet him because
that's amazing.
And he's still around. He's still doing a podcast and doing his thing, and just so cool.
Now his son is Rand Paul.
His son is Rand Paul.
Yeah,
it's Dr. Rand Paul.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We could have a whole episode on my love affair with Dr. Ron Paul because it really did shape my views.
Yeah,
and that the government is. Well, maybe this is, never mind. It's like too anti-government. I was going to say the government is not here to help. But you can't say that. That's maybe too far in the liberty camp.
Yeah.
For this audience. But Certainly we should monitor government and it should serve the people.
Mm-hmm.
That government is here to serve the people and the citizens, not
Mm-hmm.
the inverse.
I agree. It's fascinating.
And now I live in Noonan and I chair the Coweta Republican Party. Who would have thought I was a really cool radical Republican? You know, I was like a rock star Republican. And then one day I woke up and now I'm the grown up in the room, holding the meetings, saying the boring stuff, saying the voter data. Like, how did this happen to me?
Did you ever think you would do that?
No.
Was that ever a goal?
No, I didn't. It was an interesting party chairman. I had not thought about it, had not considered it. Seemed like a job for boring people. And then over the summer, people were like, you should think about it. Because I didn't run for it. Remember, the chair was just elected in the spring. So now the summer, you know, the role's opening up. What are we going to do? Who's going to lead this? And people kept calling. And people kept calling. And I had all these reasons why I couldn't do it. And the paths kept opening. And then there I'm sitting there on the 28th, and they're like, now you're the chairman. I thought, oh no, what have I gotten myself into? But it's been okay. I've now had an opportunity to, you know, formulate a vision and try to rally people to it. And I think it's working. Mm-hmm. I think there's a little bit of hesitation around the brand and just around people's experiences as a whole. But I want citizens to know that the doors are open, they are welcome, and we're here.
Yeah.
And that is so important, that people know that they are welcome. And it's not a secret society. You just come on in.
Or a circus.
Yeah. Yes. We're out of the yes. We're gonna be cool. Everybody's just gonna be cool. We're gonna do the thing. It's only gonna take 1 hour because I don't like long meetings. And we're gonna get out of there. And you're going to feel like you have the tools to do something impactful. It's not just gonna come and hear a speaker, you know, give their talking points. Every single meeting will have something that you can take an action today.
Yeah.
And that is so important to me.
So what all goes on in a meeting?
So county party meetings are 1 hour long. They open with prayer and pledge. And then I jump right into speakers. And we can have anywhere between 2 to 4 speakers. And right now we're in the statewide candidate season. So statewide candidates come, they give their talking points, and then we go into breakouts. I ask a candidate to stand in each corner of the room and have a receiving line. And that way, rather than having the conversation dominated by 2 or 3 people asking questions, you have an opportunity to talk to each candidate one-on-one. And that is the bulk of the first half of the meeting. The second half of the meeting, we have a third-party community partner come in. It could be Turning Point, it could be Americans for Prosperity, it could be Heritage, and they give a talk on what they're doing and what you can do to help. So AFP is very interested in the Promise Scholarship, so they're writing postcards to students who live in households that would be eligible. Turning Point is working on Charlie Kirk's Vision 2026. They have an app. They have doors they want you to knock on. Heritage has policy action that you can write to your legislator about. And then we go home. So it's a very dense hour. But to me, it's important for people to learn something and do something.
So let's do this. Because I've been I haven't been to a meeting yet. I'm a member.
Okay.
I haven't been to a meeting yet. But I've been in the room. I went to a chamber event, Pancakes and Politics or something like that. I always want to ask a question, but I never know what kind of question to ask. So if I'm in the room or if the audience is in the room, what kind of questions are normally asked, and kind of give like a prompt of, this is what's normally asked, this is what you can ask. Like, because there's questions that I have, I just don't know how to frame it. Sure.
Well, you should always definitely ask the question because they're expecting the question. So never feel like you're doing, like you're imposing by asking a question. I would definitely recommend questions that are not highly specific to a personal situation for you. So you probably shouldn't ask about, you know, color code mailboxes for your neighborhood, but you should ask their position on a policy or clarification or a question about something on their voting record. The best thing you can do if you know a candidate's coming, if you looked it up on the website, is take a read about their background. That way, you know, you'll have some baseline data. They'll give a wonderful speech, I'm sure, and then you'll have a question available. And always feel like if you think of the question later, like you're in the shower and you're like, oh, gee, I wish I would have asked that, reach out to that candidate's office if they're currently elected. Reach out to their campaign email address or phone number, but definitely don't walk away feeling like you don't know something or with a burning question.
Yeah, so I was planning on being at the Chamber's Pancakes and Politics, and I could be getting that wrong. Could be Politics and Pancakes. But anyway, but then I had a scheduling conflict and I couldn't go. But I knew who was going to be there.
Mhm.
And I had actually went on Grok before that and researched local, state, and state issues that are upcoming in Georgia. And I was going to ask their opinion on it and where they landed on which ones affected me. So that was my plan for that. I just couldn't go.
Well, that was the right plan.
Right.
And you did the very first part and determining what level of government impacts what. So often I hear candidates for state level offices ask about federal issues or county level being asked about state level issues. And it's fine for them to have an opinion, but you're really asking them often for action that's outside the scope of their power.
Yeah. And I know some people, like some elected officials, they just want to focus on state. They have no opinion on federal or anything. Like they have no interest in it. I was actually told that, and which is I guess good because you want them focused on what matters to us,
Sure.
right, and not outside their purview.
Yeah, there's a little bit of stay in your lane.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and even within role, I often hear people ask questions for a lieutenant governor that are really a governor's issue. And I know it sounds silly because lieutenant governor is potentially the next governor, because that's how lieutenant governors work, or more so if the governor suddenly wasn't the governor, it would be the lieutenant governor. But his primary job is to run the Senate.
And see, I think that people wouldn't know that.
Sure. How would you know it? You know, if you hadn't looked for that information, how would you know? Plenty of your roads are county, plenty of them are GDOT. Who is responsible for the maintenance of the pothole in front of the Publix? Well, it depends.
And that's Georgia's Department of Transportation. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really, and how would a person know these things? They're sending their kids to school, they're working in their job. So I don't fault anyone for not knowing the distinctions, but it is helpful when you speak to a candidate to know those distinctions. So that way, you know, too, if their answer sounds like something reasonable, does their answer sound like something that's just outrageous? Are they talking about a role or a scope that's beyond what they can impact? I want a candidate to talk about things that are within their role and elected officials. I wouldn't expect my city councilman to have strong opinions and have a path forward to impact federal policy.
Yeah. I would want my local sheriff I would ask him if there's an action plan in place in case something happens.
Sure.
You know, something bad happens in our neighborhood, in our community. That's a question you can ask the sheriff.
The sheriff is arguably the most important office you can vote for.
Interesting. Why is that?
Well, he is the determiner of the enforcement of which laws are going to be enforced. Like the practicality of it is your sheriff. So, you know, that's the person that impacts your day to day more than any other role.
Wow.
I guess I should expound on that thought.
You wouldn't, you wouldn't think about that.
Well, he's the highest constitutional officer in the county, and most people are impacted way more by their county level than by the state level. I mean, your state sets your taxes, your income taxes, but for most people, that's really their only interface with state policy on a day-to-day. Your sheriff determines how safe your community is and what the priorities are for law enforcement in your community.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing that, you know, nationally with all the stuff going on with different communities and different things going on of law enforcement not backing government officials and ICE and all that stuff. So, yeah, I would think that that's pretty important.
Right, because they're responsible for the enforcement.
Interesting.
So, that's one of my maybe hot takes. The most important person you can vote for and you should research is who your sheriff is.
Yeah, I haven't heard that or even thought about that being a possibility, but it makes sense. And we have Lynn Wood.
Yeah, who's great.
Yeah.
I've been very satisfied with the sheriff's department in this community.
How long has he been there?
Well, I want to say close to 8 years.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Before him was Mike Yeager, who was the sheriff for like 30 plus years. And then he was called up. He was appointed by President Trump to, what do you call that? The marshals. He was appointed to the marshals.
Okay.
So
Yeah, because I moved here in 2020, so I'm fairly new to the community. So I didn't know how long Sheriff Wood was in office.
now Sheriff Wood was the undersheriff for many, many years. So he was definitely experienced in law enforcement. And can I tell a Sheriff Wood story?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
Give us
Sheriff
the tea, because I want some breaking news for this podcast to go viral. So yes, please.
So Sheriff Wood is amazing. Sheriff Wood, I had a get together at my home where I invited different electeds and whatnot. And Sheriff Wood was gracious enough to stop by with Mrs. Wood, Teresa, who's just absolutely lovely. But I had recently been gifted a flamethrower. So it came to the part in this afternoon gathering on a Saturday where I wanted to demonstrate the capacity and of this flamethrower, what can be done with it. And I said, Sheriff, look what I got. And he said, I'm not going to look at what you have. We're leaving. So Sheriff Wood did not get to see the flamethrower demonstration. But I live out in the county, and there isn't any current regulation on flamethrowers right now. Thank you, great state of Georgia. And he the energy was amazing. You know, he didn't say, no, you can't do it. He just said he would not be witness to a flamethrower bit.
Wow.
So
That's, first of all, you threw me with the flamethrower anyway.
well,
The fact that you had a flamethrower, that I was not expecting that.
it was a gift. It was a gift from a friend, and I thought, well, this is neat, and it's cute. It's like this lime green, and it has this like B-2 bomber shark face on it. And I didn't even consider in that moment, you know, Lynn is such just like a good person. I had forgot really and truly that he was a sheriff in that moment, because I probably would have waited until later. But I was just so excited to show the guests of my gathering
Absolutely.
this cool thing I had suddenly.
It's a great party conversation starter.
Yes. It was like show and tell.
It was, or it causes people to leave the party.
Yes. It does.
In this case, yeah.
And there was no fire, and everything was safe and above board. And, you know, big disclaimer.
That's fantastic.
But
That's fantastic. Well, let's pull it back a little bit, and let's do some County Party 101.
sure.
For people who, like we said, there's a lot of people in the community and in general, they just go about their life day to day. They go to work, deal with their family. That's all they care about. They've got Netflix. They've got all the stuff that is just in their world. Politics isn't in that vacuum like it is some of us.
Right.
You know, so what does a local, well, if we can start from national and go to state and come to local, or we can do it reverse, or we can just focus on county. So what is a county Republican Party? Like, what's the purpose? What does it do? And how does it benefit us in our life?
So let's step down the ladder. So you have the RNC, everyone's familiar with that, the National Republican Party. And then you step down into your state party, and then you step down at your congressional district, and then you're at your county party.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the level I guess we'll be talking about mostly. So your county party has some legal obligations, things like poll watchers, qualifying fees, and there's some other, you know, minutia involved there. And then we're responsible for voter education and supposed to be developing candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the big buckets of your Republican Party. And it matters because it has, like I said, legal obligations. So if there were another Republican group came around, they could not fulfill those legal obligations.
Gotcha. So if someone wanted to run from Coweta, that wanted to run for state senate,
Sure.
or U.S. Senate,
Okay.
do we file and register here through the county party, or is that through the state?
So that would be through the state.
Gotcha.
But if you wanted to run for sheriff, you would come through the county party.
We have a good one. I'm good.
We have great, right?
we have a good one.
That's an example. No one do that. So you do qualifying through the county party.
Okay. So if they qualify through the county party, that runs just local, correct? And then if you want to run for state office, you go through the state party.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and we provide support to people who need help with navigating that. We can't give you individualized, you know, for your ethics filing per se, but we could definitely point you in the right direction of who you should speak to at the state level where you can find those forms. It's a lot of paperwork when you run for office.
I would think so.
Lots of disclosure forms. And if you miss, you can be fined. So there are periodical forms that need to be filed as well during your campaign.
So you said candidate development, right?
Mm-hmm.
And education. You shared with me that you're looking to have a candidate school.
Yes, I'm very excited about the prospects of rolling out a candidate school. So there are people all over this community that would be excellent elected officials, but they don't know it yet. Or maybe they have an idea that they might be interested, but the amount of unknown is just overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
What will I file? How will I do this? I don't know what to say. Where will I know where to go? There's a lot of questions beyond just having an idea or just, feeling called to run for an office. So we absolutely are looking to identify those people, get them into a comprehensive program that's going to be like drinking out of a fire hose. It's 2 full days and a half-day virtual, and you will learn everything you need to know from how to place a yard sign and the psychology of where it goes to, these are who you should use for website. This is how you get signs printed. This is how you engage the media. Media training is a huge piece.
Mm-hmm.
This is the technology you should be considering. These are, there's a laundry list of things we could talk about that you should know as a candidate.
Yeah. When me and you met a few weeks ago, you shared with me something that just as simple as the psychology of a yard sign, of where to place it.
Yes.
I was like, I never thought about that because people don't. It's just a subtle thing.
Yeah, and there are brilliant people studying the psychology of campaigns. It is a tremendous industry. What we were talking about was placing yard signage and how it should be closer to the front door and not actually the road. And the thought behind that is the homeowner has already bought into the candidate. That's why they have a sign. And they're unlikely to influence other people in their community because that's just how modern politics work. You're not going to drive by a sign in your neighbor's yard and think, yes, that's my candidate. But you do want that homeowner to be very emotionally committed and hopefully other people in their household. So you put the sign near their front door, they own it. They see it every day. They'll take care of it. They'll make sure it's placed straight. And then that person is likely to speak to others about you because they're thinking about you every day as they're coming in and out of their home. So maybe when they see their neighbor who drove by and saw the sign, maybe they'll have a conversation. Hey, I'm supporting Chad, and this is why.
Mm-hmm.
So there's ownership between the citizen and the candidate. The citizen then feels emotionally invested in that candidate's outcome beyond just, I voted for them.
It's more of a personal referral.
Yes. There's a huge amount of buy-in, right? To put your sign in my yard, near my front door, where I come and go from, I'm saying I'm for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm likely to go to vote, and I'm likely to tell others about you, as opposed to the physical often creates psychological distance of it being down by the road.
Right. I can almost kind of relate that to if I were to wear a shirt that had Under Armour on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a shirt. That's the yard sign near the road. But if you ask me about my shirt, I'm like, oh my God, this feels so good. I love the whole brand of Under Armour. Like, it's all I buy. That's a referral.
That's right.
That's the yard sign at the front door. Right. So it's more of a personal referral and a testimony of really supporting that candidate if it's closer to the door.
It's also the same reason why you want the sign to look good. You want it upright and level. Sometimes you see signs off the interstate and they kind of look crooked. You want the sign to look well maintained. So when candidates are out there placing sign, if someone's like, yes, you can put a sign in my yard, you want to make sure that sign looks like something someone could be proud of. So these are meaningful things that candidates should know. Like, you may not apply all of these things all the time, but it takes no additional effort to put the sign closer to their door than the street. No additional effort to make sure that it's straight and not crooked when you place it.
Yeah.
So all these things add up to the wins. How do we talk to the media? How do you stay to your talking point? What happens when you're driving down the road to work and you get a call from a reporter? Talking on the phone in the car gets us into trouble sometimes.
Yeah.
And we're so excited about being a candidate that we want to tell them everything. And then we tell them too much or we lose our point. So how do you handle that? And the short answer to that is have your 10 talking points in your car, print it out, put it in your visor. That way, if you get that call, you can say, hold on just a moment. You can pull over. You've got your talking points in front of you, and you stay to those talking points.
Yeah, I don't think telling a reporter on the phone, can you hang on just a second? I'm getting pulled over for talking on my phone.
Yes.
Not the best strategy.
That's right. And just to give yourself a moment to center yourself.
Right.
Then
Right.
there's other practical aspects of ordering signage, color schemes, the website, social media, and then how do we compel people? And that's where the magic is. How do I convince you that I am the person to do this job? And I am the most qualified person to do this job. And I have a vision, and I'm going to bring this vision to life if you will just vote for me, if you will just buy into me. That is the secret sauce of candidate school. And I'm very excited for that part.
Yeah, we talked about this a few times, and I can just sense your excitement for this and getting this off the ground.
It's going to be so cool.
Yeah.
It's going to be so cool. And I've asked my friends to come from all over the state to help participate in this school. So you're going to have access to some of the top people in the industries of campaign from multiple walks of campaign life. So they're going to have just heaps of experience. And I can't say their name yet, but I've got a friend who has coordinated over 100,000 doors knocked. And they are an expert on how we get door canvassers to answer the door, collect data from them, and commit for them to vote for you. And that is super cool because we still know the number one way to win is to win at the door. It's more effective than postcards, than digital, than calling them on the telephone. Getting on someone's doorstep and talking to them, specifically if you're the candidate. If you're the candidate, it's like gold because most people have not had that experience. I can count on one hand the amount of times a candidate has come, knocked on my door, and asked me to vote for them.
I have a rebuttal to that, but I see the point.
So I know you're a digital guy. And,
I do see the point.
And digital is great for reach. So nothing can compete with digital for reach.
Right.
But that, I'm only going to interact with them one time. I can get them on the phone, or I can get a Facebook ad in front of them, or I can get to them at their door. That is the most impactful single interaction.
I agree. And on that part, I agree. And I think that it goes back to what the conversation you had last week on the phone was there's a difference in awareness and relationship. The relationship is the one-on-one.
Right.
This is the awareness. It's digital, it's filming, it's content, it's getting it out there so everyone can see it. But the relationship is built like this.
Sure, and you need both.
You do need both.
You need both.
Yeah, so there's definitely a place for both.
Yes, and we will go over those nuances at the candidate school and what is a good fit for what kind of campaign. If you're running for your neighborhood alderman and you only have to impact like 200 voters, or maybe in a small municipality, that's a different campaign than if you're running for state house.
Yeah.
And how do we fundraise? How do we convince other people to give us money for our vision? I mean, there's a lot, but it's doable. And a great candidate can do these things. They should not let the technical aspects of a campaign prevent them from being a wonderful candidate.
Right. And we are going to talk about both at the candidate school because we can cut this out if you want to, but you have asked me to be a part of it.
I have asked you to be a part of it.
And I cannot wait.
And you can decide if you want to cut it out or not.
No, I'll leave it in.
Yeah, the candidate school's
if you're good with
cool.
it.
I mean, we've assembled attorneys, professional fundraisers. You do videography and digital assets. And people need to know. They need to know, what parts they should manage themselves, if they need to consult a professional. How do we reach those people? Who can be trusted? How is it all going to go? How do you go from I have an idea about running to I'm on the ballot to I'm now being sworn in? What is the roadmap for this?
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it because from my perspective, it's not about just turning your phone around and talking to it. Mm-hmm. There's a framework you got to speak to. There's a way to engage people on the phone, on camera. There's an authenticity to it that you have to have. There's a lot of science and research that have gone into the psychology of speaking on camera and what to say, how to say it, when to say it, kind of thing. And that's something that we'll go over too in the candidate school.
Yes. What are the beats?
Mm-hmm.
What are the beats? What's the attention span? I mean, there is even theory on when you have, let's say, a door hanger, which side you should put out. Should you put out the side with the candidate with their family, or do you put out the side of the candidate by themselves? And of course, you should always have a photo of the candidate either with their family or like kids or a dog, something that feels good.
But where do you put out each one?
Where do you put out each one?
Yeah.
Where do you find the data for whose door you should knock on? You really should be looking for super voters. How do you identify super voters?
Is that where the county party comes in?
The county party does know about super voters. And we know about technology. We know about apps. We know about phone lists. We know about a lot of things. So we're happy to help either provide you that resource or direct you to where you can find it. But, a first-time candidate may not be aware that you don't want to knock on the door of every person on the street. You want to look for voters that turn out, high-propensity voters. You want to find voters, if you're in a primary, that are going to vote your party line. You don't want to be agitating the opposite party. You don't want to be alerting to them that an election's coming up. You want to be looking for your people.
Right.
So how do you do that? What's the math? How many general elections do you want someone to have previously voted in? How many primaries? So there is science and math and resources available, and we're happy to talk about it.
That's going to be exciting.
Yes, I'm very interested in dispensing information. I want people to know things. I want people to be empowered. We cannot hold on to it in a silo. People have to know. The right people have to know. How do you get that train moving? How do we get the technical pieces so you can get out there?
But that's leadership.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. I hope you're implying that I have leadership skills.
100%. 100%. Yeah. I mean, that's the quality of a good leader is giving direction and sharing a vision of this is how you go from what you want to do to where you want to go.
Yeah. I mean, I get shy about being complimented, but I do love what you're saying. And I want people to know that's how they become a leader themselves. Because for one, you have to lead your campaign. You're going to have volunteers looking to you. You're going to have potentially campaign managers. You're going to have a lot of people looking for you to be the captain of the ship. So knowing how to lead in those circumstances. And then ideally, when you get the job, people are elected because we're looking to them to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So leadership skills are wholly important, and I'm trying to demonstrate and model them. And is that going to be part of the candidate school, is leadership training? So just a touch, because we have such a short amount of time, but there is additional training modules that will be available for both virtual and in person. So there'll be a hybrid model, because I do think people need those skills. 100%. And they have to be practiced. Often like public speaking, it's a skill that you may have taken the class in college, but you need to practice it. You need to refine your message. You need to know the gestures you're going to make, if it's going to land. So absolutely, there's additional resources to go into those skills and deep dive. That's good. I mean, that's really good. So the best part about this school is that we're looking for candidates that are going to run. So there's a vetting process. Yeah, so sure. You got to get through the vetting process. And we're looking, part of that is candidates that are going to run in less than a year. We're looking for people that are going to put this into action and get out there. It's not for thinking about it. Once you get to the candidate school application, we want you to be in. And we're going to give you all the tools you need and set you up for success. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for real candidates, and it's going to be sometimes real uncomfortable, and that's okay. This is not going to be friendly or like fussy or something that's designed to make you feel something. So this school is going to be just an opportunity to get the skills you need and get them quickly. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be a warm and fuzzy. It's going to be very real and a little bit rough. And that is where I think the value is. We're not going to spend time doing things that aren't going to get you to the path of winning. And if someone can't handle that, it's not a good fit right now. Right. Well, don't sign up for running for office. Yeah. I mean, this is for people that are serious about it because every office matters. And we're at that place where we can't do milquetoast. We can't do, whatever that is. We want to do winning, and we want to empower candidates that are going to meet the expectations of the Republican Party. I mean, that's what we're here to do. We're here to recruit, train, and elect Republicans. So that is my mission. That is my goal. I ran on that when I was seeking the office of chairman. Recruit, train, elect. Those are our priorities. That is a dovetail, and that's how we make Republicans win.
So what are you doing to recruit?
So step one of recruiting is meetings. Getting people into the meetings is super helpful just to get them recruited into the party, to volunteer, to find their footing. Now we're looking at recruiting candidates for the candidate school. So the number one way we're doing this right now is word of mouth. If you know someone, if you yourself feel like you could be a candidate, let's get involved in the process. Let's screen. As we have greater awareness in the community, we're hoping people turn up because we're the Republican Party. You're running as a Republican. We are natural allies. Electing, well, you've heard that. We want to develop candidates to elect. We want to support Republicans that are doing a good job. This isn't about finding a bunch of people to primary Republicans that are successful in their role, that are doing the things we're expecting. Mm-hmm. This is a way to challenge Republicans in primaries who have drifted from what they should be doing. And this is a way to develop candidates to run for seats that are contested. Mm-hmm. We want to have a candidate available for every single election. We need to have a bench. That is how we're going to win. That is how we're going to keep Republican majorities.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just listening, and so I couldn't think of where I wanted to go next. It was just I'm in. Like that's I think recruiting is the most important part because you got to recruit the right person.
That's right.
And it's not open season, right?
No, we need to make sure that you reflect the ideals of the Republican mm-hmm. Party and that you would be a person who is a good fit for this role. Not everyone is good at everything. Mm-hmm. Not everything is for everyone. So this candidate school is going to be a tight hose. It's going to be a squeeze, and that's okay. But the Republican Party as a general piece, come to county party meetings, involve yourself. That is definitely warm and friendly and fuzzy, but the candidate school is something else.
Right. Yeah. So let's talk about the party itself and the county party. I would say it's been in the news.
It has been in the news.
Not all good press is good press, or not all press is good press, right? It's kind of led to the perception by some, if not most, that it's a circus.
So first off, the party belongs to those who show up. So the people who are there set the tone.
I like that.
So if you want a tone change, the best thing you can do is show up.
Mm-hmm.
And the party has definitely had some pains, there's been some scandal, but that is not our scandal. That is related to just one family, one group of people that has nothing to do with the party as a whole. And I know there's been some identity and some brand overlay, but that's resolved now.
And I don't want to interrupt, but I think sometimes it's easy for us to paint one group of people with the same brush.
Sure.
Right.
I think so. And the party is a diverse spectrum. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of Republicans and conservatives and, center-right folks that are there in the space. And that's great. We need all of those people to all do their part so we can recruit, train, and elect. Mm-hmm. And there has been some confusion about what that looks like and the perception about what that is.
Yeah.
So I want to dispel any rumors that we're not open to all Republicans because we are. Yeah. We want them to come in and we want them to be involved, find value, and ultimately create value, right? Because we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Again, one mission.
That's right.
One vision. We're on the same team. And I think it's easy to look at what's going on if you pay attention statewide or nationally and think that it's getting divided. We are still on the same team.
That's right.
And it's easy to lose sight of that sometimes.
Yeah, and it's it's a family dynamic, right? Your cousin's still your cousin, even if they're doing something a little bit different than you would have. Just because he's in a rock band, he's still your cousin, and mom wanted him to be a doctor. He's still in your family. And we need to remember that families are diverse. Families are going to have positions. They're going to think you're going to love more than other things, but that's okay. The Republican family has got to stick together.
Right.
And we'll do it. We'll do it together. I want people to be involved. I want them to know that we're a resource in the community and we have value, and that whatever you thought you knew about it, it's not the case.
So if someone says, look, I've heard the stories, I've heard what's going on, I don't want to be associated with that. What's your reaction when people say that?
So I can empathize with that. My first reaction is empathy, but then I remember if you want to change something, you have to be involved in changing it. And it's really easy to say, I'm not sure, or I've heard negative things, because that is an easier position to take than coming and finding out. It's always, I heard. Well, have you been to a meeting recently? Have you seen it? Well, no. Well, come on, come get involved, come do something that you want to see change. It's not hostile, I promise. And if you don't like it, you don't have to come back. If you're like, this is awful, I hate everything about this is not for me, then that's okay too. This is kind of like your mom telling you to try the broccoli. Just come try it, just a bite. And you might find that, it's awesome with cheese whiz on it or something, I don't know. But, get in the room, get involved, because, you have to. There's no other way forward for Republican control otherwise. There's not.
Yeah.
We're in trouble all over the state. The Republicans are losing in places that we shouldn't be because there's voter apathy.
I agree with that. And I think that people think that just because we live in a somewhat red state, that the Republican's going to win no matter what.
And it's gotten a whole lot more squishy.
It has. And that's why people don't show up. And I think to me, that's where you come in on a county level, because is it close to 70% Republican here?
Yeah, so 68%.
68.
It used to be more when I moved here. So 10 years ago, there were more Republicans.
Yeah. So it's easy to think that, well, I don't have to go vote. So because my side's going to win without me voting. That's not the case. And things are getting a lot tighter.
That's right.
And I think candidates, and I'm sure you'll go over this in the candidate school, just because you have an R next to your name does not mean you're going to get elected.
No, we just saw that.
So we're seeing it a lot more right now.
And this is something we're going to have to contend with. As margins get tighter, we are going to have to put our very best foot forward to convince those swing voters, to convince those independents. Because you don't have to convince other Republicans. Staunch Republicans are going to vote for you.
Right.
Usually. Unless you do something egregious, they're going to check the box. You've got to speak to the people that are in the middle without compromising your Republican identity and without compromising your own belief system, right? We don't want you to pull your beliefs to the center just to try to persuade independent voters. You want to convince them that you are the better of the two candidates. That, you really don't want people voting against you. You really want people voting for, you don't really want people voting against your opponent. You want people voting for you.
Right.
That is the longevity. Just like you shouldn't be running against someone, you should be running towards something or for something. And that is kind of what weeds out good candidates from bad candidates and people that go the distance.
How do you think candidates, and this is probably speaking to a very certain small, but you want people to come. I guess this is part of recruiting. How do you advise candidates to do that to speak to the center without compromising their value just to get their vote?
Yeah, because they're going to end up unhappy, right? You're going to be unhappy as the candidate. They're going to be unhappy because they're going to feel misled. And it sets you up for a really hard spot for reelection, down the road if you have broken the trust of voters who committed to you because you shifted your message. So you definitely want to just amplify the very best parts of your ideas and why they should matter to you and why these ideas, which we know Republican ideas are the best ideas, why these ideas should matter to them. Why these issues? Well, one, you have to convince them the issue matters. And then you have to convince them that this is the right answer to this issue. So it really is an awareness campaign. You're building awareness for yourself, awareness for the issue, and awareness for your position on the issue. So it's nuanced, but you're not actually shifting your position. You're just making sure you're communicating in a way in which the recipient of your message is most likely to process it and then come to the same conclusion as you.
Yeah.
Which doesn't take a magic wand, and when we discuss it in this setting, it feels a little abstract, But once you have the context of the rest of the candidate curriculum, it becomes much clearer.
And I think, too, that speaking to the needs of the voters
Sure.
is what can get people more elected more than just talking points.
Well, you have to care about the same thing.
You
You have
do.
to care about what they care about.
Yeah.
And maybe your niche issue is unpasteurized milk, right? And they're worried about how they're going to get to work on, because of traffic congestion. They're worried about leaving early and trying to time the school buses. So you have to find the commonality and you have to understand your constituents. And that's data-driven.
Right.
You don't have to guess what they want. There is access available
Through.
the Republican Party on what, and it's not just your county party making this data, the state party, the RNC, there are large, federal candidates that are paying for this kind of data that becomes available. So this is specified data down to individual households on what their issues are. And we have access to that data and we're happy to share it with Republicans that are running because we want them to win.
Because I work with business owners and my job is to help them talk to their audience.
That's right.
And speak to their pain points because they solve their pain points. And it's the same thing, right? So a elected official needs to speak to the pain point of the voter because they want to help solve that problem.
That's right. And that's the problem they care about, the one that's causing them. That's the pebble in the shoe.
100%.
So you've got to identify the pebble, have a solution to the pebble, and then disseminate that message.
Mm-hmm. And how they do that
Yes.
is in the message.
That's right. And a unified message. The message that people are seeing on social media should be the same message that they're seeing when they see you in person.
Mm-hmm.
And all these things should be aligned. They shouldn't cause shock. Someone shouldn't say, oh my goodness, on social media, they show up this way. But when I saw them in person, it felt like a completely different person or a completely different set of issues.
Oh, now we're talking.
So continuity.
And now we're talking my language. So that's where I differentiate with a lot of people when you speak about authenticity. That's how I define being authentic. If you're the same person right here talking to me on camera as you are at your house throwing a party with a flamethrower, right? Like that, this is you being authentic. If you show up on camera and you're a completely different person because you're speaking to a camera or you're at a campaign rally, but people who know you are like, dude, that's not you. Who is this guy? Who is this lady? Voters see through that. I think voters are more attuned to that today. And that's why when you see politicians do video, you can tell which one comes across authentic and which ones don't.
We are bombarded with artificial and curated. So I think, I mean, just broadly speaking, we've got AI, we've got, even reality television is scripted.
It is.
So people, I think, are very drawn to authenticity more than ever before.
I agree. I think that now I do believe that different from a social media standpoint, because I deal in digital and from a social media standpoint, how you show up on each platform is tweaked.
Sure.
It's still you. There's a famous meme, and it's Dolly Parton and how she shows up on LinkedIn, Tinder, Facebook. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Okay. So you show up differently on different platforms. It's still the same person. But how I speak to you in a professional setting, it's still me, but I'm going to speak differently and use different words and tone at a family event, or if I'm out with the guys, right? Like it's still me, and I'm still being authentic. I'm just showing up a little different.
Sure. You're almost speaking to code switching.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that there's a nuance there, right? But you still have to be you. Like this still has to be your values, and your character still has to be you. You just show up just a little different depending on where you are and who you're talking to.
Well, yes. I mean, and that makes sense, right? When we see our candidates when you see your elected officials or your candidates in a more casual setting, they're wearing cowboy boots and jeans, right? And then if you were to see them at a donor dinner, hopefully they would have, their spiffy wear on. So that is definitely, you're definitely correct. And how you show up is slightly different, but the core should be the same.
The core is always the same.
And how do we prevent ourselves from getting pulled away from where we are and who we are? And part of that is support systems. The people in your campaign, the people in your party, the people that are giving you maybe campaign coaching can help you stay authentic to that.
And I think that's important to who you hire to be on your campaign, because you have to make sure that they have your best interest at heart, not theirs.
And that they want you to win, which I know sounds obvious, that surely this person wants me to win. But sometimes the campaign consultants are overstretched. They have too many. Sometimes they have campaigns in the same races, which is kind of strange, but it happens. So you want someone that's invested in your best outcome 100%, not just like a little bit. You want the full measure, which I know sounds like, gosh, that's like an obvious thing to say, but I've been around a lot of campaigns and I've seen a thing or two. And I'm telling you, I know a thing or two on the topic. You really want to be sure who you're bringing into your circles.
That blows my mind. Like, I can't comprehend, and I know what happens, but I can't, it's hard for me to comprehend the fact that you got to make sure that they want you to win.
Yes.
Because, again, from a business lens, my clients who I work with, and I do their videos and their social media, and I help them, shape their message to their client. I want them to grow their business, because at the end of the day, if they grow their business, I win, right? Because I've helped them do that. And the more money they make, the more likely they're going to want to spend it with me. That's just business 101.
Yeah,
right?
And it's a team sport.
It is a team sport. I want them to win because I want them to succeed. But selfishly, I'm trying to grow my business. So I want them to win because that looks good on me.
Right.
I'm just amazed at people don't care about that if you win or lose. Because I would think that, again, if I'm working with a candidate on their media, first of all, I would want to, if I was in this world, I would want to be selective on who I worked with based on what I vote for you or not. Because I wouldn't want you to win if I wouldn't vote for you.
And that's a strong litmus test for people that are honorable and upright. Someone that you would vote for and you would support. But what you'll find often with the professional consulting class is that they work with so many people. It's like having an attorney that's disengaged, right? You're there, you've paid the fee, they hope that you win your case, but if you don't, they're already there. And you see that with campaign consultants because often they're looking at the next big race. Everyone wants to run a winning congressional race or U.S. Senate race. And what happens sometimes with the smaller offices, although important, but the smaller offices with smaller budgets, there's just not the same kind of emphasis and attention. So you wind up with a consultant that charges you some sort of flat fee, and then they'll give you a guidebook, here, do these things, but they're not really invested in you winning or not because they've done their part. They've written the roadmap, but often it's not even personalized. And if you have not been a candidate before or had experience with campaign management, how would you know if this roadmap is even personalized to you? So that bit of discernment for expertise and buy-in is so important. And we'll talk about that a little bit too in the campaign school. How do you engage with people that are really invested? And what are the flags? What are the green flags or the red flags?
Yeah.
It's like hiring any other professional service.
Mm-hmm. Is it naive for me to think that way?
No, I think you drew the reasonable conclusion that people would work with you, and they would want success for you at their core. But we just have to be careful. It's like any other professional service.
Right.
So, like I said, we'll definitely go over those things, which are the less fun, more uncomfortable parts of being a candidate. And, what should some of these things cost? That's a great question. People have no idea what the cost is or what is a reasonable cost to pay for a thing. Now, of course, it's a candidate school, so there's lots of people there, so we can't really dig too deep into your personal campaign. Mm-hmm. But we can give you guidelines because every race is a little different, but you should expect to spend X, Y, or Z. Or this is how much a candidate has put in previously of their own personal money into this race. Because that's important to know. What is your own personal financial obligation? That
would be a good bit of knowledge to have.
I mean, congressional candidates put up to $300,000 their own personal capital. And how that works is...
State or federal?
Federal. But it's a ton, too, for other races. And how it works is the strategy behind it is that you designate your campaign committee and your finance, and you have to make filings. So what you do is you park a ton of personal wealth in your campaign account. And that signals that you have money, and people like to donate to people who have money. And that's what builds. It's like if you see a tip jar and there's already a 20 in there or a 5 in there. So, you put money in it. So that's a consideration. And then you sometimes spend your own money. Sometimes you raise enough money to just, because you can lend yourself money in a campaign. So you can start getting your early expenses covered, like maybe signage or literature or digital ads. And then the idea is that the donors make up the money and hopefully you can get your money out of it. But you don't always get your money out of it. So you need to be sure when you put your money in your campaign, unless you are, tremendously disciplined, that money will just get eaten by campaign activity.
Donors want to see skin in the game.
That's right. They want to see skin, and they want to feel like it takes money to make money, right? That there's a whole piece there. So that's people should know that. And it's unfortunate that's a reality of American politics. But we want people who are going to win, and we want people to have the tools to win. And it's naive to think that campaign money, because I have a good idea, that I will be elected, or that people will see my great idea, and that is enough to get me across the finish line. You must understand the other parts of campaigns so you can position yourself for success.
Yeah.
So there's like a long way to get to that. But I think it's important to fully illustrate that that's something that someone may not be thinking about. And of course, this is non-applicable at, let's say, school board races. But if you're running for state house, you should be thinking about this. Mm-hmm. And state house, it is an elevated position, but not so elevated that a person couldn't just run from the community. There are no prerequisite offices to run for state house.
So that would be a question that I've asked people because in full disclosure, I have had, and we've had this conversation, but I have been interested in running for office at some point. The typical, I would think, stereotypical route would be military or lawyer. Well, if you don't have those qualifications, you shouldn't run for office on a state or federal level, right? And I know there's exceptions. So you said that there's no prerequisite to run for state office. What's usually the trajectory that someone would take?
There are plenty of first-time candidates at the state level. There's plenty of first-time. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene was a first-time candidate. She didn't come from a lower previous office. So
right, she was a business owner.
That's right. So you can jump from business owner.
She actually ran a CrossFit gym.
That's right. That's right. So it wasn't even like a highbrow fancy thing. Like you might think of a law practice or like a healthcare facility. I mean, right here in our own county, I like to talk about David Jenkins, Representative Jenkins, because I know his family pretty well. He's a farmer by day, and at night he's an air ambulance pilot. First-time candidate, saw a need in the community, ran, is in the state house, has been reelected. So there is not a one-size-fits-all for how you get there. Mm-hmm. And people should think just because I'm not a lawyer or I'm not a typical politician background that I somehow can't do this. In fact, small business owners are a large pool of candidates come from there.
Yeah. So. I've seen that more, especially on a state and national and a federal level. It's more small business owners.
It's interesting about the attorneys because now you hear candidates minimizing often that they're an attorney.
Really?
So they're scaling back being lawyers. They're a lot of lawyers being rebranded in their campaigns. Or if you ask them, hey, sometimes I interview candidates myself, and I'll say, hey, do you want to talk about your professional background? And they'll say, no, I don't want to talk about my professional background.
Wow.
So if you're out there and you're not an attorney and you want to run for office, do it. If you're out there and you're an attorney and you want to run for office, maybe keep it under your hat because people are less and less trusting of attorneys these days. And it's not fair. A knock. I know some great attorneys, but...
Yeah, but that's the perception of attorneys.
And maybe that's as a shift to like a populist culture. Mm-hmm. People are interested in business owners or, professionals who do jobs that they understand.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
No, I think you're right. I think that makes them relatable.
I think so too.
Because I think relatability is a big thing in elections today.
Yeah, and the potential for shared lived experience, right? I want people who have done some of the things I've done, and I've done some of the things they've done, and we understand each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think that matters a lot to people.
It does, especially if they're running locally.
Sure.
In local government. Like, you're one of us.
That's right. You're one of us. You shop where I shop. I see you in the restaurants I go to.
I know
Your
you from
kids go to
church.
school. That's right. We know each other from church. Your kids go to school, or my kids go to school. And you're known to me.
Yeah.
But we can't possibly know everybody, right? So we have to communicate that through channels that even though you may not know me personally, you know me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where you come in with that digital messaging and just helping people get that across.
Yeah. It's becoming more and more important today. I just did a study on the two most well-known races in the past couple of years, and it was obviously Trump winning and the New York mayoral race with Mamdani. He was at 1% over the summer. 1%. He was polling at 1%. And he won the Democratic primary and then the race because of video. Because his videos went viral and his message got across.
And people felt like they knew him. They felt connected.
They felt seen, and they felt heard. And you can look at Trump, Rogan, and all these other podcasts that he went on. He spoke to the people. He spoke to their needs. And Kamala she avoided them. And when she did, it was what it was. And I think that when you don't speak to the voters or your audience and to what their pain points are, you're speaking to the void and you lose.
And we have such a unique opportunity in time with technology where you can do your own like citizen journalism. Like you can do your own.
Yes.
You don't have to wait for traditional media to come along and stick a microphone in front of your face. You've got what you need in your pocket.
You do.
And that's really incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And the potential is amazing. If you can curate that and you can really just stretch it to its full potential, you have an amazing tool in the toolbox.
Yeah. It's, again, I want to say this correctly. You have to be mindful of what you say because it is powerful. That tool is powerful. It goes back to what you say and how you say it, right? And that there's ways to get that message across. So it's a lot easier today. Just like in the film world, it's a lot easier to go make a film with what we have. I've got a studio full of lights and cameras and mics and all this stuff, but people go make feature films off their cell phone. The barrier to entry is so much easier today in that world, which makes it harder to get noticed.
Right, where people are being bombarded with content.
They are. Now, that leads me to another question. I'm just going to put this over here because we've done going off this. So
you got me thinking about the Blair Witch Project, about that idea of just filming something and
right.
You know.
So when there's noise and so much noise out there of so many people doing it and having a voice, which is good. Standing out becomes harder unless you're the loudest person in the room, unless you are a MTG or a Jasmine Crockett or an AOC or Donald Trump, right? Like you have to be the loudest. You have to be the most attention-seeking person in the room and saying the most outlandish things. Do you think that that's a fact, or do you think that that's just a perception today? Like you can make more of an impact? Because I'll ask you that question. In my opinion, and again, this could be a naive way of thinking, and I could be off. In my opinion, if you speak to the pain of the voter, you're going to reach them. You just got to speak to their pain, not what you think is going to catch Fox News or CNN, because you can get more reach on your phone than you can the way it used to be.
I think those candidates are all lightning in a bottle. But to your second portion, you need to identify your audience. I think there's an issue where people think our audience is Fox News, or the audience is, some group that they hope will feature them and hope will carry their story. That's not really their audience.
And in political circles, they call that the base.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So you need to get to your base and find out where they're invested in and where they are. Because they're probably not doing a whole lot of watching traditional media.
Or what they care about.
Or what they care about, I spent a lot of time consuming all kinds of media, but if you can get on my phone, if you can get in front of me on Facebook or Reddit or Instagram, you have my attention.
Yeah.
Because that's where I'm spending my viewing time. My viewing allocation is on those social media platforms.
Right.
And, and people like what speaks to them. So I am the base for certain groups, and I receive that content pushed because they are strategic. So I guess maybe that's where I'm headed. Strategy. We need to be strategic in who we're speaking to and how we talk to them.
Mm-hmm. And there's a science behind that.
There is a science behind that. And there's data. And there's tricks.
And who has all the data?
The Republican Party.
There you go.
We know things.
You know things.
We know things, and we will help you know things too. And come to candidate school. We know other things there that are helpful. So the county party cannot endorse a candidate in the primaries.
In the primary.
Cannot do that. You have to be the only Republican standing around.
Mm-hmm.
So candidate school is particularly a great resource for people in the primaries who need strategy, because that's not something the Coweta County Party can do. We can give you, if you ask for a certain tool, we can give you that data, but we can't guide your campaign. But in a campaign school, that is not bound to those obligations that a county party is. Now,
with the school, you're going to have a preferred vendor list.
Yes.
So they'll have resources there that they can look at, because that was going to be one of the questions I had earlier was if they come to school and not know, because we talked about you got to get the right team around you and who you can trust. You're going to vet the people that you put on the vendor list, right?
Yes. So the hope here is that you can run a DIY campaign if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can definitely have the tools to do that. But there are plenty of people that are going to determine for whatever reason that they would like professional support in these categories. And there's some things you have to. Unless you've got something special going on at your house, you cannot produce yard signs at your house. You will need a vendor for those. And all the vendors will be vetted. They will be, aligned. They'll be ideologically aligned. We're going to look for Republicans. We're going to support those who support us. Mm-hmm. So that's very important to me. And that people that are known quantities. We don't want you to find out into your campaign that this person is not what you're expecting, or the quality is not there. So all of these vendors will have gone through a screening process, and they'll also be offering additional support services. So maybe you're like, hey, I like, this company to print my signage. They'll also be available, hopefully on-site, on our on-site vendor day, which I'm very excited. So let me talk about on-site vendor day.
Yeah.
On-site vendor day will be on the last day of candidate school, and it'll be an opportunity to meet vendors directly. Now, this is important, and I know it might come across like salesy or something else, but you absolutely need to know who you're working with so that when you are ready to qualify, you have everything lined up. It's a very tight window between when you decide to run and when you qualify and when your opponents get in the race. And if you come out of the gate very strong, you can actually prevent people from getting into the race. If they see you and they're like, oh, this person's got a website, they've got signage coming out, they seem to have curated online messages, there are people that will not get into the race. That's just the reality of it. Mm-hmm. So that strength up front can determine how many opponents you're going to have to manage later on. So having vendors that have done this before and understand how it works can provide you additional insight and expertise. Mm-hmm. And that's really, really important, because, again, it doesn't matter how great your ideas are if you can't propel them forward.
Right.
And that's an uncomfortable truth, but I believe in absolute candor. So we have to talk about things like this. And a candidate school is the place to do it.
I'm sure other places have candidate schools, but I think it's a great idea. I think it's something that is needed and can answer a lot of questions.
Yeah, so let's speak. There's actually not a ton of candidate schools here in Georgia. And
There's not.
And a lot of them, the ones that do exist, and they're run by lovely people, you already have to be in the club. So they are a special interest group, and then if you're running within the window of that special interest, then you would be afforded to go to their candidate school. And honestly, mileage varies. So in Georgia, if you're someone who's considering running for school board, maybe you're in Fayette, maybe you're in Hall, maybe you're down in Heard County, this is an opportunity for you to come live, get into a school, and get the resources you need.
So this isn't for just if you want to run in Coweta.
No, this is rolling out. The pilot program is running out in the 3rd Congressional District. But if you're someone outside of the 3rd and you're like, I've got to get into this candidate school, and you're out in Hall, or you're out in Cherokee, or you're out in Whitfield, give us a call, let us know, do the online form, because if there's space, we'd love to accommodate you.
Yeah.
So yes, this is for people around Georgia. I've been to a lot of candidate schools. I think that they're fascinating. I think they're great for learning. I've been out in DC. I've been to the Yale candidate school. In fact, I was a trainer for Yale for a period of time. I taught a course called Guerrilla Politics, How We Apply Political Pain to Our Friends and Enemies. And that is a fantastic course, and I don't think they offer it anymore. But I would love to give, without infringing on their intellectual property, I would love to give a little tiny recap. That way you can identify when political pain is being applied to you and how you respond to it. So those are the kind of specialized course materials and insight we want to offer. Aggregated data from some of the best candidate schools along with local flavor, because that you're not going to get that anywhere else.
This is a unique opportunity.
This is a different thing. This is a different kind of beast. I've been thinking about it for years and years, and I finally thought, gee whiz, this is the time. And it's been fueled by individuals approaching me now as the county party chairman, and they say, hey, I'm thinking about running. Or I've been thinking about, I might, I could be curious. And there's some, I'm sure, fantastic candidates in there, but there's a lot of people coming through the funnel. So this is a way to offer a product to people who are serious about running.
Yeah.
And to give them tools and insights that I cannot give them by way of the party because of those obligations that the party has. Mm-hmm. So this is something that walks alongside the party, but is a different program.
Yeah. I think it's a great resource. And it's very exciting that people have that opportunity to come learn and get plugged in and hit the ground running.
That's right. I ran for state house in 2019, and it was an abysmal outcome.
Really?
And I rarely talk about it, but now we're all friends, so it's different. And I didn't understand the technical aspects of running. Had never run before. I thought I would be great for this job. I knew I would be amazing at it. I absolutely knew it. And I got some of my friends together, and they didn't really know about campaigns either. So it was the blind leading the blind. And we were just, there were interesting circumstances of that race. But part of the issue is I felt like I was constantly behind the 8 ball because I didn't know. I knew I had to get signs. I knew I had to get pieces, a website, but I didn't know who to go to, who to talk to, what was the appropriate price for these things. I didn't quite understanding the art of fundraising. For me, it was very difficult to ask people that I knew for money for my campaign because I struggled to differentiate myself, the candidate, from myself, the individual. And it felt needy. And I thought, it felt very awkward. Mm-hmm. I have to ask people, I don't want them to think I don't have any money, but my campaign didn't have any money. I had, personal assets. And that's a weird thing, and nobody ever talked to me about that. And it doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you are not putting money in the machine for it to go, then you're stuck. And also asking people to support you sometimes feels strange because it feels, it rubs against the ego because now we're asking somebody for something. And if you're an independent person, independent thinker, it's a different mind frame. And I just wish someone would have talked to me about those things too. And to prepare yourself. Just know it's going to feel weird, and that's okay.
Well, what sticks out to me is, and I think the audience watching this they can relate to that, is if you don't put stuff in, you won't go anywhere. I have to put a lot of stuff into this business. of my own personal money to make it go, especially in the beginning, right? Like you have to do that to launch a business. It's the same thing.
It just, yes. And it was like, so that's like a small part. No one spoke to me about that. No one spoke to me about even how you earn media. Earned media was this mysterious thing to me. I had no idea how other candidates were getting this free acknowledgement from the press and how that worked, how to access that, how you create a splash, a controlled splash, So I think a lot about all the things that I wish I would have known that could have helped me been a more successful candidate. And I also have been involved in many campaigns, so I've seen what success looks like and where people fall short. And you can only get that through lived experience.
100%.
And the experience of my colleagues who are helping with this campaign school, they also are just a well of information and insight.
You didn't know what you didn't know.
How could you know?
Right.
You're kind of bumping along, and it's not like West Wing, right? It's not like TV. And a lot of it's boring.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is just doing things that aren't particularly exciting. It's not holding the microphone. Also, like being county party chairman. I was told, this is my rub, this is my gripe, that I would once a month have a meeting and somebody would give me a microphone and I would introduce candidates and then I would get in my car and drive away. And the time commitment, for being chairman is quite a bit. But for a candidate, it's exponentially more than you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about that, right, these are all things we're going to talk about. So hopefully the vision is that someone is motivated to run for office. They do the screening process. They come to candidate school. They get a ton of information. And then that Sunday afternoon, they know that they are equipped to either go ahead, turn around and qualify and run, or they know that it's not the right fit right now. And that is an okay outcome too.
Mm-hmm.
We want people to have the tools to make that informed decision. I mean, ideally, 100% of the people run and qualify, they run, they win. But maybe you go to the candidate school and you think, well, not this office this time. Actually, I'm better suited to run for this. Or this time in my life, we just had a baby, moved, whatever you have going on, and then you wait. And instead of being a weak candidate, you wait a year or a cycle or whatever's next, and you come out of the gate the strongest possible candidate. So this is not just like a sales tool. Like everybody come in here, everybody hire a video guy and a sign guy. Like that is not the purpose of this. The purpose is to identify people that we can, train and elect.
I would also say that just because you feel that it might not be, or that you might not be ready, doesn't necessarily mean that you're not ready.
Sure. But you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
So if you're curious, come.
Yes, because I think that sometimes if you feel that you might not be ready, you're still the best person for the job.
That could absolutely be true.
And you can make the most impact. Like you are the person for the job. And you just need that one little push.
I'm sure that if you talk to some candidates, they would say, who are now elected officials, that they would say, that's right, that they weren't sure. They got informed, and then they went forth,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because as a Christian, I feel like my plans and God's plans don't always connect. And he pushes me to do things I'm uncomfortable with, but they're always best. And sometimes that if we're called to do something, we're called to do something. So maybe God's put it on your heart for a reason. Sorry to get biblical, but
I was just thinking we grow in the uncomfortable space.
We do. And I don't think, I saw this the other day and I sent it to my wife because we had this conversation like the day before. I'm a big dreamer. I have big aspirations. I dream. She's the realist in the family. Like she has to pull me back a lot of times, which I need that. But I never dream small. It's always big. But I also think, and I sent this to her because I saw it, and I said, it said that God doesn't put dreams in your heart that you're not ready for, or that he doesn't think that you can't handle. And that hit me hard. I was like, we have this dream for a reason, and we have these aspirations for a reason. Maybe not right now, but at some point.
I think so. I think people can feel called to something,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to orient to the when. Like you feel called to do something, you feel called to lead, but you need the rest of it too.
You do.
You have to know to what, like called, and then to what, and then how do we do the hands and feet of that calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's on our side of the obligation. God can call us to do something, but then we have to do the doing.
Right. And sometimes it's start small. Because God won't give me $1 million until I can handle 10.
That's right.
Right? This took a turn.
Take a turn. I'm curious to see how you're gonna cut it all up and make it amazing.
Yeah, we got to not even close to what we planned, but I'm really glad that you came by, and shared your vision. And I know it hasn't been easy. I know it hasn't been what you thought it would be, because you were told that it would show up to a meeting once a month. But I do feel like, and I'll share this with you, I do feel like that you are the right person for your position at the right moment, and for this moment. I think that for everything that the party has gone through locally, I think that they couldn't have picked a better person to lead it. I think you have the character and the integrity that it takes to do the job, and that's important. That's important as a leader, and that's important as somebody that can lead out of what it's been through.
I appreciate you saying that, and so many people have been really encouraging. I spend some time in the nonprofit space around town, and obviously nonprofits are not political, but
Mm-hmm.
I see people, and people, and people are cheering for the Republican Party to work itself out.
Mm-hmm.
People want a stable party. They want something that is welcoming. I haven't met a single person who's wishing for the decline.
Right.
So that keeps me optimistic. But this is something that will work out. It will be a pillar in the community. We will move conservative ideals forward and just do what we're supposed to be doing. Be stewards of the responsibility and the mantle.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. And I do think that you are the right steward for this.
That is so kind.
And I'm really excited to see what you do in the coming weeks, months, and stay on for as long as you can.
Well, I look forward to seeing you at a meeting soon.
Absolutely.
That way you can come sit up front too.
I will be there. I was planning on being there Saturday, but
Saturday we're not having a meeting because we are going to be in the parade.
Yes.
Which is very exciting.
Yes. I had it on my calendar to be there at the meeting on Saturday, and then I got an email that we're not having a meeting Saturday. So I'm like, see?
Well, historically we have not met in December.
Okay.
And we historically have not had a parade float, but there was a consensus that it would be so much fun and just a way to shake off the vibes of the Public Service Commission and some other things. And it'd be really cool to show the community that we're involved, we're engaged, we like to do fun things, and that they should interact with us. And I don't know anything about parades or parade floats, so there's a steep learning curve. In fact, I'm going to go to a meeting at the city is hosting tonight for like what to do and not to do for a parade.
Interesting.
So we will be fully compliant with all the rules, and we will be amazing. The theme this year is Nutcracker.
Okay.
And we have a 9-foot Nutcracker. So
interesting.
I'm just thrilled for the community to see this cool thing we have going on. And if you want to walk in the parade or be on our float, we have space. I don't know when this is going to air, but
This will probably come out after. But the fact that you want to be compliant to rules and regulations is a good thing. And it's a good new direction for the county GOP.
I'm like, okay. I went down there I didn't know anything about it. And I read there's a Facebook website, or there's a the city website. You go to the city website for the parade, and there's a video that the chief of police has got on there, and it's these forms. And I watched it, and then I watched it again, and I studied all the maps. And I had so much anxiety around, it's like a silly thing, like how much anxiety could you have? But I was so worried that somehow I would miss some detail. And I think we've got all of them. I think we're covered. And, this is a great pre-run, practice run, version 1 run, because we're really thrilled about the 4th of July parade.
Oh, good.
Yes. And
that'll be, because that's a big one.
It is a 250.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And so this is the soft run. This is the soft launch.
Soft launch. Good word.
For that one, which is going to be amazing. I don't think we're allowed to have fireworks. I think that was on the list of things you can't have. But if we could, we would. But we have candy.
hey, you can't go wrong with candy.
We have candy.
Kids love candy. No, I had thought about joining you guys in walking. But with my 2-year-old, we don't see many parades up front or up close. So I wanted to experience with him. So maybe for the 4th, we can drag him along with us.
Yes. Yeah, I think we're going to be doing a lot in the community. So I pitched to some folks last night about adopting a road. So we might have a road adopted. We care about the community, and contrary to popular belief, Republicans are conservationists. We do care about the environment. Conserves, right in the name, conservatives. Yeah. So it was important for us to do something for the community and to do something that was environmentally positive. And it felt good. It feels good to do things that are like uplifting and participating in a meaningful way and just nice. It feels good to be nice.
It really does.
And I like that. That is why I took the job, was to be nice.
Yeah.
Like a wandering strand, and I can feel it. to be nice.
and that's a good segue. I wanted to get into a lot of this more in detail, but we can touch on it here. You do a lot of nonprofit work.
Yes.
And that feeds into that. Like, it feels good to give back.
Service feels good.
It does.
When you believe in something and then you are able to help the mission, it's fulfilling in the most amazing way.
I completely agree. What nonprofits do you work with? Because you work with a few.
Yeah. So I recently joined the board of Bridging the Gap.
Okay.
And Bridging the Gap has been near and dear to my heart. Side deviation story time.
Yeah.
So when I first moved here in 2016, I was killing time at home, and I opened the newspaper, and the Noonan Times Herald had an article about a homeless camp in the woods. And I thought, how outrageous that this happened, like the city of homes. And I thought in that moment I knew better than everybody else. And I thought, I will surely solve this problem. And I was...
It's easy to feel that way sometimes, isn't it?
There was like this much ego involved. And I was like, surely I know the way that will solve this. And I stood up a nonprofit that...
I'm laughing because I had these same thoughts. But continue.
Surely I know more than everybody who has expertise in this, and I will be the way. And newsflash, that's not what happened. But while I was, self grandstanding, I had went over to Bridging the Gap, and I had, given like this idea and that, and I would bounce like a sounding board over there, and they were very tolerant of all my ideas and very supportive. And I set up a nonprofit that addressed homelessness and housing issues by way of financial means and financial literacy. And they were absolutely just amazingly supportive of that project. And I hadn't, I was aware of Bridging the Gap and their work with the tornado, but I hadn't done a lot with them recently. Mm-hmm. And then I was at I love Noon in Kiwanis. If you have not been to a Kiwanis meeting and you want to come to a Kiwanis meeting, come to a Kiwanis meeting, be my guest, so I can get guest credit. And come be my guest. And I'm looking over one table over. I sit in the back like a good Baptist, and I look one table over, and I see the executive director of Bridging the Gap. And this is like the new executive director at the time. I see Jamar, and I said, "Oh, Bridging the Gap. I love Bridging the Gap." And he says to me, "Hey, we have a board position." And I'm like, "Well, I love Bridging the Gap, and I like boards. So yes, I will come over."
Just like that.
Yeah. And they said, "Okay, great. I'll have the chairman call you." And, he called, and it's a great fit. And so I've been on the board just a short period of time, but I have this long relationship with Bridging the Gap, and I absolutely adore everyone who works there, and the work they do is so meaningful. Which brings me to, if we could bridge back, there's not a smooth bridge, but back to Noon in Kiwanis, which I absolutely love. So I agreed to be on Bridging the Gap's board, and then I get tapped just a few short weeks later to move from being a member at Noon in Kiwanis to being the vice president. So of course, when you're not around, you get voluntold. So I was voluntold into being vice president of Noon in Kiwanis, which I love, and that's where you can find me on Tuesdays. And we do such amazing work. We host the fair, which is our flagship project, and the fair money goes right back into the community. And I am so proud to say that the amazing people who work the fair shifts and did everything to coordinate it, we were able to give $300,000 back to the community.
That's amazing.
Noonan Kiwanis just celebrated their 100th birthday this year. So we've got 100 years in Noonan, which is very exciting for us. And hopefully we'll have 100 more years.
Yeah, that's amazing. So one of my good friends, and he's actually my first client, my very first client, because I worked for him at the time, Jake Stanley with State Farm. He's a member, and he's a big sponsor of the fair. And so we're always out there doing videos for that with him. And he does the big dunk booth he does every year in the football games. And so he's always been a big supporter of the Kiwanis.
He does the skeleton wearing the jersey in front of the TV, right?
He does.
And he has candy.
He does. See, it always comes back to candy.
Comes back to candy.
Candy is never a bad option.
I get sent out to work near the jump house. So that's in my scope of what I can manage. And it's great. The fair is great.
Yeah.
And this year, here's my humble brag. I entered plants in the plant contest, the Master Gardener. There was like a plant submission, and my plants did great. And I got a bunch of ribbons, and yes. And it was amazing because I was so anxious about these plants. So I had been like growing them and tending them, and just, everything can go wrong with the weather and the heat. I'm like trying to just keep this little plant going. And I brought them in the box, and I was so nervous to check in because everyone seemed so experienced but everybody was so nice. So if you want to enter the ag competition, it's amazing. And then I got a call, and they told me that I had won a ribbon. I'd won ribbons, but one of the ribbons was like out of stock. But I thought they were calling to tell me that, your plant's so bad you have to pick it up, right? Like we envision things to be nervous about. And I answered the phone, and she goes, "Yeah, I'm calling from Master Gardeners." And I was like, "Oh no, I'm so," start apologizing immediately, for bringing much shame to the contest. And she was like, "We're going to mail you a ribbon." So when you're out at the fair, go to the ag building and see all the contests and the kids' photography art and the amazing quilts, and do those things, because it's much cooler when there's lots of people participating in them. Yeah. And it's just like one more thing we can do to elevate each other and 100%. Celebrate each other. So
100%.
That's my side quest tale on the fair.
Oh, that's
but I'm
great.
just so excited. So that's my loud, humble brag that I won ribbons.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard a lot from Jake about the Kiwanis. And heard a lot of good things about Bridging the Gap. So those are two really, really good organizations.
This is such an amazing community that we have so many nonprofits doing the incredible work.
Yeah.
I look around, I'm like, wow, so many specialized groups taking care of the community. And so many special people supporting these, right? Because nonprofits need people, volunteers, board members, supporters, and it's just so cool.
Yeah, I say this just about on every episode is, like I said, I moved here in 2020, and I'm just amazed at the level of support this community has. Now, I saw it firsthand because right when we moved here in 21 was the tornado. And I remember going through downtown with Jake, and I was taking video and pictures of the destruction. And this thought hit me. And, this was in 21. This was after the summer of 20 and all that stuff that happened. And I just saw, I got emotional about it. I just saw people supporting people. And it didn't matter who they voted for. It didn't matter their race. It didn't matter their beliefs. It didn't matter their religion. Their neighbor was hurting. They brought their chainsaw over, and they helped. And I saw that, it just hit me. And I got really emotional about it, just kind of like I am now. And it was special. It was a special moment for me in a very tough time. Luckily, nothing happened with our stuff, but it's like just seeing the community come and support each other like that. I'll never forget that.
The tornado was so devastating, and people were so compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
It was just incredible, like you're saying, to see the community come together, to support each other, to hug on and love each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the amazing, Coweta County is so amazing.
It is.
And Noonan's amazing. And just, I'm so glad that we decided to raise our family here. I just love everything about this community.
Yeah.
Which is difficult, right? Because we want to tell everybody, but we don't want anybody else to move here. We don't want traffic to get any worse.
Yeah, we're good.
We're good.
We're good.
It's a great place to visit, amazing if you live here, keep it a secret. But yeah, we love everything about this community.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast is I wanted to highlight leaders in this community and tell their story. Because the leaders who are involved in this community on any level is what makes it what it is. And like we talked about, what happens at the leadership level trickles down, and it sets the vision and it sets the culture, whether it's a business, whether it's a political group, a political organization, whether it's a community. Leadership sets the culture. And I'm very happy to raise my family here in Noonan. I'm not from here, but I don't want to leave. So there's that.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Me too.
And I'm glad to have done this with you.
Well,
and
good.
I wasn't sure, but I thought Chad seems very nice. And
I have moments.
And this could be a good thing. So, and it really an opportunity to spread the good word about the party.
Yeah.
And that is so important to me. I thought, how bad could it be, right?
How bad could it be? There you go.
How bad could it be?
I'm clipping that for a testimonial because how bad could it be?
How bad could it be? There I was. It could be the beginning of a story. There I was.
How bad could it be?
With love.
With love.
With love.
So let's wrap up a little bit and kind of bring it back to the party.
Okay.
I would say if you're successful, but I have no doubt. So at the end of the day, when you're successful, what does the Coweta GOP look like 3 to 5 years from now, and what's different?
Well, 3 to 5 years from now, you'll definitely have a new chairman. So that's first and foremost. But there's going to be amazing succession planning. They're going to be fully equipped and have all the tools, and it's just going to be the most smooth running machine you've ever seen. The Coweta County Party 5-year plan, 3-year plan. I would love to see renewed relationships between elected officials and the party. I would love to see renewed relationships between Republican voters in the county party, because we're really in this thing together. And the grassroots exists to support candidates and elected officials by way of interpreting the will of lay Republicans. So we're a conduit. And I don't think that we've been operating that way. I think it's a common problem for county parties, but I live in Coweta, so I'm going to fix Coweta.
Yeah.
And that's how we'll know that it's working, it's successful, when we see the bridge between lay Republican citizens in their home and electeds representing this community.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So do we break news that we are going to have a new chairman?
Oh, I tease the executive committee that I'm like, today is going to be the day, brace yourselves. Are you everybody ready to take one step forward? And they're like, you better not. So, but it's good. It's good. It's running. I'm adjusting to it. It's wholly different than anything I've ever done before.
I imagine.
And I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
I think it's going to work out. It has to work out. I mean, this is where we are.
Yeah.
And we have amazing people involved, and there are amazing people in the community who want to get involved. And we need to amplify those voices. There are some very steady hands in the party, currently in the party, and they have potential to support in ways and to be platformed and to bring people in, and they have skills and knowledge. And I'm thinking about poll watchers right now. The people who poll watch, to me, are like superheroes. And they're amazing, and they get out there and they sit through early voting, which is very boring, by the way, and they go out there on election day, and then they wait till the polls close. And then, this is very cool, by the way, they record the tabulation totals. The tapes are what they're called. They're taped to the glass. So when the polls close, the machine spits out tape. The tape is taped to the window, and that shows the day of election totals. So if you have that information, you can quickly collect it from your poll watchers, and you will know the election outcome before it becomes public on the Secretary of State's site or the county site, before it's certified. And I got to be chairman and got to coordinate that. And I didn't even know that was really a thing until the poll watchers were like, do you want the tapes from the door? Like, yes, I do. So we knew if you followed the Coweta County Republican Party on election night, you will know that we call the election before anybody else.
Well, first of all, that's amazing. Second of all, like, I've got so many questions, and this could really be a 5-hour, this could rival Joe Rogan's podcast on a 3-hour episode. But why in the world, if it's that simple, do results take so long to get?
We need election integrity specialists.
Well, there's that too.
To speak to this issue.
So that's a whole other conversation.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. Because if it's that simple, you would think that it's not hard to just do simple math.
Yeah. So that's the day of, and then you've got it's the early voting, which is fine because that's just you press the button. It's the absentee ballots that are the problem children.
Shouldn't they be mailed off by a certain point to get there by election day?
So they are. But the counting of them is different. The timeline is different when you're allowed to count them.
Why?
So it is different because they don't want insights being gleaned before. So they come in and then they're scanned. But they're not but it's not tabulated. You can't press the count button.
Okay.
And people do interesting things. And I'm not an expert on election integrity and the laws have shifted around it, but the biggest issue, I have done ballot adjudication. So what happens is people mail in their ballots, they fill them out at home, they're fine, but they have stray marks, or they do something where they cross out a name instead, and the machine cannot read it cleanly. So a person has to manually look at the ballot. And how it works here, it's 3 people look at it together and determine the will of the voter. Or if it cannot be determined, the ballot is considered spoiled. So that process, so it's mail-in ballots plus the count plus stray ballots. And those usually are not enough to impact the outcome, but they still have to be reconciled. But we could have a whole election
We could,
episode.
because that's where a lot of conspiracies can come in to play, is who determines that, the judgment of that person, or 3 people you said, right?
Yes. So parties get to appoint people for this. So that is one of the legal responsibilities of the county party, is determine who from the party will represent our interest in that process. So we do poll watchers, we have ballot adjudicators. We also have, there's a test for the machines. When the election machines come online, we can send a person to observe that process.
Okay.
So that's why your county parties matter, and it matters that they're being run properly, because if you don't have them, the paperwork being managed, those roles are just unfilled because the show goes on with or without you.
Yeah.
So you want to have representation there. And I believe that elections are totally proper and managed correctly in this county. I've never seen anything that suggests otherwise, but it's important that we still participate for the purpose of community trust and to make sure that, you know, what we're expecting is what we're expecting.
Well, and that's on you to have the right person as a poll watcher.
That's right. And we had 13 poll watchers this year, which is pretty amazing for it being a non-big election. Of course, this is in addition to the poll workers who are employed by way of the election.
So that's not the same.
They're not the same thing. Poll watchers are partisan, and they come by way of the party. So let's say you called and you're like, I want to be a poll watcher. I would ensure that you had the proper training videos. We would have our trainer sign off that you did it. Then I would write a letter to the election board giving your information, where you're going to watch, and certifying that I know that the trainer certified you. And then you could then poll watch at a designated location, designated time that is assigned by your affiliate political party. Poll workers are employed through the government, and they are nonpartisan, and those are the people that check your ID. They stand at the scanning machine. Those are the people that you interact with as a voter.
Okay.
And those are two separate pieces. But that's a great question. And often, you know, if you're not familiar with the process, how would you know? You go to vote, there's people standing around.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
It's a thing. I poll watched this year. I went and poll watched in my precinct over at Cannon Gate. It was very quiet, very orderly. You see people that you know, but as a poll watcher, you're not allowed to interact with the public. So it's always kind of awkward. You see your neighbor and they'll like wave to you or say hi, and you're like, you're giving them the zip it because we want to follow the rules.
Right.
And we want to make sure that no one ever feels
Well, stay above board.
That's right. We don't need to feel uncomfortable or encroached upon. So
Yeah. So a big question. I got two more questions. A big question. What does success look like for the county GOP beyond winning elections?
Community partnerships.
I like that.
We want to partner with the community. We live here. We're invested in its positive outcomes. And I think we just need to keep reaffirming that. We want Coweta to do well. We want it to thrive. We want families in Coweta to thrive. And we want to be part of that solution. This is a great community to live in and work in and raise your children in. And, you know, how do we keep that going? And how do we make it even better? There's always room for improvement. How do we get there?
You want Coweta to thrive, not just Coweta Republicans.
No, the whole place, you know?
Right.
The whole place has got to be upwardly rising tides.
I only mention that because I think people tend to divide.
Oh, yeah. You know, and we don't have to.
No.
You know, there's plenty of other things to squabble about. We don't have to do this one, you know. And
we can disagree on how to thrive and how to get there. But I think both parties agree that they want Coweta to thrive.
we want to have nice things.
We do.
We want to have nice things. You know, it's interesting too, like a sidebar is that politics are scalable. And people don't think about that. So at the federal level, I am pretty conservative libertarian. At the state level, I'm a Republican. And as I get closer and closer to my house, your politics shift a little bit, right? In my home, I'm probably considered a radical dictator. So sometimes we get in these identity pieces, and I want my neighbors to help each other, you know, dare I say a little bit socialist, right? Like that, I want my neighbor to borrow a ladder. I want things to happen for them that are positive. And we get so locked into these identity labels that aren't really even reflective of the tier of government we're thinking about.
Right.
So that's something kind of food for thought, that your federal politics don't have to be your state politics.
Well, and I completely agree with that. And I think that, too, the importance of the local politics and the local party is, you even hear national politicians and personalities say this: politics is local.
It belongs to who shows up.
Change happens locally
That's right.
first. And, there's so many examples of that today. And I think that there's a need for growth and leadership locally more than ever.
Culture works both ways. People think of culture being a top-down, but culture also can happen from community up. If if your neighborhood has a culture of being a good place to live and positive and collaborative, cooperative, right? And your neighbors getting along, that moves up, right? Those are the people you send to be on your county commission. Those are people that eventually you'll send to your state government. So we can do a bottom top. I mean, that's what the grassroots is about.
Mm-hmm.
Growing and then pushing those ideals forward.
Right.
And sense of community. It's so important, especially, now more than ever, for people to feel connected to each other.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So the last question that I ask everybody, okay, what do you want people to say about your contribution to this community 10 years from now?
Well, I hope that they say that it was a positive contribution. I hope that they're not saying good riddance. I want people to, say that I led with heart and that I was really trying to do the right thing and did do the right things, and know that I care deeply about this community and its outcomes.
Yeah, that's evident.
And be part of the solution. I want people to say 10 years from now, she was part of a solution.
And I think that's evident outside of politics because of everything that you're involved in.
Yeah, so the politics are actually the least interesting thing about me, I think.
And we didn't even get into all that. In fairness, we were planning on doing a whole personal side of it too that we didn't really get into. We'll have to have you back and get into that.
I would love that. I love talking about politics, but I get to do that now at these meetings and things that I were told was only 1 hour.
Yep, that's all you got to do.
But yeah, I love all my friends and neighbors without regard to their politics.
Yeah.
And I'm a people person.
You are. Yeah, you are. So I can't thank you enough for taking the time because I know how busy you are. You've got a full-time job on top of all the other stuff that we talked about. An important job that we didn't get into. So it's very honoring that you took the time today to do this. Where can everybody find you?
Sure. So I guess if someone wants to contact me, the best place to contact me is Nina, Nina, at ninablackwelder.com. I will check that email. I will get back in touch with you. If you see me in town, say hey. Except from at Publix. If I'm at Publix, I'm focused. But yeah, I think I'm easy to find. I'm on social media. You can find me on Facebook and the other ones. Yeah. And I'm sure Chad can do magic where it says something somewhere.
Yes, I can do that. Thank you so much.
I'm so thrilled.
I really appreciate this. I hope you thought this was a good time.
I did think it was a good time.
Good.
I did think it was a good time. And we should do this again and talk about things. And
for sure.
We could get a whole panel going. We could have
that'd be fun.
All kinds of perspectives. And
that would be a lot of fun.
We could discuss barbecue. There's some strong feelings in Noonan around barbecue.
There is. We
could definitively settle who the barbecue champions are.
Hey, we should see if we should hold a contest.
Uh-huh.
Here's an idea. Hold a contest on who can cook the best barbecue via flamethrower.
See? Innovative.
I try.
Independent thinker.
Forward thinking.
See? I love it.
Forward thinking.
What can we do? Experimental and innovative.
Just don't invite Sheriff Wood.
No.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. This was a pleasure for me, and I hope it was for you. I hope this was very informative. Nina is a fantastic leader in this community, as you can tell, and I was excited to have her here today.
Thank you for having me.